importantly, he is a serial woman abuser, the likes of which we haven't seen in modern America, at least not on the public stage in this way. He is a repeated serial abuser. He beat those women to a pulp and didn't even deny it. He didn't deny it. They admitted expressly domestic abuse over and over and over again, something the judge used against them when they pled for bail.
He stood there in a charcoal suit that suddenly seemed to swallow him whole. The man once celebrated for owning the spotlight, in arenas, in boardrooms, in headlines, now shivering before the only stage where charm counts for nothing. Sean Diddy Combs, voice splintering, knuckles bleached from clutching the defense table, let out a final plea. Not a performance, but a slow, visible unraveling. We watched him beg for mercy, for any scrap of leniency, for anything that might keep him from the steel echo of a prison door closing. The voice that once shook sold-out crowds barely rose above a whisper, collapsing under the weight of the judge's unreadable stare. The room froze. Every gaze locked on Combs as he stumbled through words about remorse, about growth, about his children and his legacy, like speaking them aloud might somehow slow the gavel already in midair. But mercy was never in play. When Judge Arun Subramanian pronounced a 16-year sentence, the shock rippled through the room, audible gasps from the gallery, even his own legal team visibly rocked. No guilty verdict for trafficking. No racketeering charge. But it didn't matter. This was a demolition of his empire. You could feel it. The collapse of a myth, the public beheading of a brand once untouchable at the top of music and fashion. And the number 16 rang louder than any track he'd ever put on the charts. There'd be no bail, no bond, not even the 50.
Same thing for Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the interesting thing about the Epstein and the theory about Epstein is we know he filmed people, for sure, on that island. He has a lot of movies, a lot of films of people that are very, very powerful political figures. And entertainers, business people. So, do you really believe that Jeffrey Epstein himself? And of course not. Of course not.
$1 million lifeline his team practically threw at the court. The judge waved it off, citing footage of 2016 violence, of Cassie Ventura's bruised silence, of shadows that had trailed Combs for years. The empire built on champagne, luxury, and an untouchable image, gone. And here's where the whole thing tilts. Because beneath the courtroom theater, under the headlines and the public outrage, a different story has been whispering its way forward. Former aides, behind-the-scenes fixers, even an ex-road manager have stepped out of the shadows to suggest this wasn't just a collapse. It was a shove, a setup, a move in a game bigger than Combs himself. And one name keeps drifting back into the picture. Epstein. Yes, that Epstein. Insiders claim Diddy's sudden arrest, his Loctite bail denial, could be collateral damage in a far filthier battle, one where the FBI isn't chasing justice, it's chasing names. The rumor mill is spinning hard, that Combs may have kept tapes, evidence, even a list of names reaching far beyond the music world. That his infamous parties, the ones whispered to host Hollywood power brokers and billionaire players, were never just about decadence. The theory? Here's not the prize, here's the breadcrumb trail. As one veteran in the industry put it, this isn't about what Diddy did, it's about who he can bury. No,
I don't know. It's more difficult. It makes it more, I'm being honest, it makes it more difficult to do.
But more likely a no for Combs,
I would say
like.
so.
No word from the label, no rebuttal from the feds, just a wall of silence. And in stories like this, silence is deafening. But Combs isn't naive. He knows how the power game is played. And according to 3 separate sources in his tightest circle, he's no longer just pleading to the bench. He's appealing to power itself. Enter Donald Trump. The same Trump who once shared the same velvet ropes, who once called Diddy a friend, who went on record defending him in the Apprentice era. That Trump, insiders say, now hold what some in Combs' camp are calling their last remaining chess piece, a pardon. But here's where things twist into something even darker. Because while Trump is said to be seriously weighing that golden ticket pardon for Combs, he's making it clear this isn't an act of kindness. This is leverage. This is Trump at full tilt, playing kingmaker with a grin and a Sharpie. On Newsmax just last week, he smirked, "It makes it more difficult to do," throwing shade at Combs' 2017 diss tracks and his loud endorsement of Biden in 2020. Back then, Diddy said Trump should be banished. Now, he's in the awkward position of hoping Trump will save him. Call it karma, call it politics. It's both, and it's brutal. And according to quick drop legal updates, the judge is leaning on statements made by Combs' own defense during trial, acknowledging his had violent personal relationships to justify keeping him locked down. The defense argues it doesn't prove racketeering, but the damage is done. This is now a power play marinated in ego. Trump, fresh from skirting his own legal landmines, doesn't see Combs as a friend. He sees him as a trophy. And that pardon? It's not about mercy. It's about theater. Pardoning Diddy could grab headlines, divert attention from the still-secret Epstein files, and maybe even curry some goodwill in entertainment circles that iced Trump out years ago. But nothing from Trump comes free. Sources inside Combs' circle whisper that the price tag could be steep public groveling, a televised apology, maybe even a check to a Trump-adjacent cause. One insider claimed Trump literally wants him to kiss the ring on camera. And judging by Combs' recent moves, taking meetings with people he once ignored, no longer swatting away talk of political favors, it's clear he might go there. Because here's the real fear. Sean Combs is terrified. Those who've seen him say the swagger is gone, the mogul mask is cracked. He's in survival mode. Staff report is being kept separate after threats from other inmates. His lost weight, and the jail he's in, it's infested with roaches, fueled by violence, and patrolled by guards who know how to make pain a daily thing. Which brings us to the elephant no one wants to name out loud. If Diddy really has dirt on the right people, how long before he trades it? Former allies are scrubbing their socials, unfollowing each other, severing ties like rats fleeing a yacht taking on water. The buzz is that the feds aren't just out to punish him. They want him flipped. They want names. Not just celebrity names, the kind that make corporate towers tremble. One former club promoter didn't mince words. If Diddy talks, people vanish. Add in the Epstein chatter, and the fact Trump denies ever being told he was in those files, despite the Wall Street Journal saying otherwise, and you have a countdown to someone getting thrown under the bus. Convicted or not, Combs isn't irrelevant. If anything, he's more dangerous than ever. Word is, the FBI has already tightened surveillance on several of his old associates, with subpoenas drawn up and ready to fly. Word is, Diddy's camp was quietly approached with a deal that wasn't quite a deal, more like a hint wrapped in a threat. Help us, and maybe we help you. No paper trail, no official record, but insiders insist those conversations happened. That's not justice. That's chess, with every pawn carrying a blade. Prosecutors fixated on racketeering from the jump, despite charging only one man. Even some legal observers asked, how does one man racketeer alone? The jury deadlocked 6-6 on that charge, but still found him guilty under the Mann Act. Desperation is now dripping from every legal filing. His offer to post tens of millions in bond, where tracking devices, surrender his passports, live under house arrest. Nothing moves a needle. The court isn't bending. They see risk. They see danger. And maybe they see value. Because this case isn't clean. Major charges collapsed. Lead prosecutor Maureen Comey, yes, daughter of that Comey, was abruptly removed after the verdict, her firing still unexplained. She left with a cryptic dagger of a quote, "Fear is a tool of a tyrant." Was that aimed at Combs, or someone far above him? Which swings us back to Trump, the man with the keys. The same man who's bragged on live TV that pardons our loyalty tests. He said George Santos, a man who lied more than he breathed, 100% deserved one for backing him. And Diddy? Trump waved off the crimes and focused on the insults, how Combs made terrible statements about him. That's where it sits now, a fallen titan in a Brooklyn cell, the gavel still echoing, and a pardon dangling like a poisoned carrot. Outside the courthouse, the aftershocks came quick. His empire cracked overnight. Revolt TV, once his battle cry against media gatekeepers, started bleeding top talent. Sponsors ghosted him without a press release, erasing his name from campaigns like it was contagion. Beverage brands he toasted on stage? Gone. Luxury labels that fought for his attention now act like he never existed. A longtime LA associate whispered, no one wants to be the last person defending him when the roof caves in. And that roof isn't caving. It's collapsing. His fashion label, once a streetwear crown jewel, is now a ghost in storefront windows. Warehouses sit half-stocked, vendors are lawyering up, and investors are cutting lines before the fire reaches their end. The speed and precision of the destruction has people in the industry asking, was this planned? Was this about justice, or about erasing Sean Combs? Some believe the motive is bigger than his crimes, bigger than him. They point to whispers that he had cameras everywhere, rolling when no one knew, that he kept what some are now calling the insurance vault, not filled with diamonds or cash, but with information. Allegedly, there are recordings of private parties, incriminating conversations, and confessions never meant to be heard. According to a former bad boy assistant now overseas, Diddy called them his safeguards: names, faces, dates, encrypted, hidden. The theory goes, if those files exist, they could connect powerful entertainers, moguls, and politicians to the same toxic ecosystem that swallowed Epstein. And that, sources say, might explain why federal agents are working him behind closed doors. The FBI isn't confirming, but they're not denying either. In fact, they're being unnervingly quiet. The FBI's silence has sparked fresh paranoia inside Combs' fractured inner circle. One former bodyguard reportedly bolted to BVI after subpoena landed. A one-time fixer has ghosted entirely, nuking their online presence. Because at this point, it's not just about Combs, it's about who else could burn if those files ever see daylight. A veteran music exec admitted off MIC on a podcast, they don't want him to cooperate. They want him contained. And maybe we're seeing why. In sworn testimony, a witness at Combs once cornered her mid-flight, pulled up a video from a freak-off she'd been in, and told her, if you don't do another one when we land, I'll send this to your mother. That's not seduction. That's coercion. And the jury believed her. So maybe Combs isn't staying quiet out of loyalty. Maybe it's calculation. Because if he ever unloads what he knows, the blast radius could be nuclear. Imagine uncut footage from those infamous parties, faces unblurred, timestamps intact, and connections drawn between Diddy, Epstein, and people still smiling on magazine covers. Insiders say he shot down multiple corporation deals. Won't even entertain certain questions, especially about overseas estates, private islands, or flights that never touched official records. What's on those tapes? Who's in those guest lists? Nobody's sure. Everybody's terrified. Even in his own camp, loyalty is evaporating. Artists who built their careers under his shadow now treat him like a contagion. Former allies go silent. And Cassie Ventura, the once loyal girlfriend, did more than walk away. She became the trial's emotional gut punch. Cass's testimony didn't just reveal private hell. It tore down the image of Combs as untouchable. She described years of emotional manipulation, isolation, and control, exposing a system of harm bigger than one man. In an industry where predators often buy silence with settlements and NDAs, her voice sliced through the courtroom like glass. The weight wasn't just in what she said. It was in how long it took her to say it. And the fact that others started finding their voices too. Observers are bracing for the next shockwave, a witness list rumored to include unexpected names. Yes, even Mike Myers, and a line of women without famous faces who will need every shred of courage to step up. Cassie became the avatar for a truth the music industry has dodged for decades, that power, charisma, and genius have too often been the camouflage of abusers. And in shattering that illusion, she didn't just wound Diddy's legacy, she ripped away the armor he thought made him invincible. What started as tabloid fodder now had legal teeth. This wasn't scandal for headlines. It was survival, pattern recognition, and the emotional wreckage of unchecked power. As more accusers synced their timelines to Cass's, the prosecution's case gained a momentum that couldn't be dismissed as loyalty drama or opportunism. Cassie didn't just show up with receipts. She brought emotional credibility that no jury could ignore. Her story was devastatingly believable, and it forced millions to ask how many other women had been silenced under the same glare of celebrity. In doing so, she shifted the ground under high-profile justice, not just in the courtroom, but in public opinion. Meanwhile, rivals circled like vultures. 50 Cent, never one to waste a crisis, openly mocked Combs online, calling the trial justice on delay. Industry players moving quietly, buying up abandoned ventures for pennies, seizing market share in nightlife and media. Cold, calculated. The final insult, watching the same world that once revolved around him rebuild without him on his ashes. But the political stakes? Different kind of minefield. Trump pardoning Diddy will be another Epstein-level disaster. The GOP's already bleeding with female voters, especially younger conservatives who aren't in love with Trump or MAGA. This wouldn't just fail to help, it would detonate. Everyone saw the tape of him beating Cassandra. You can't spin that. And yet, the real storm may still be loading. An unconfirmed report from inside the Metropolitan Detention Center says Combs requested a secure laptop, not to write memoirs, not to launch a podcast, but allegedly to craft a statement for history. Is it a bluff, or is he loading the chamber before sentencing day? A leaked email between two federal prosecutors mentioned concerns about the defendant's digital archives and the damage of unauthorized releases. That's not rumor, that's documented fear. Add to that whispers, again, unverified, that foreign outlets are offering millions for the rights to whatever Combs might leak. Could he go full Snowden? Drop something that shatters Hollywood and ripples into politics and finance? If he does, it won't be out of altruism. It'll be because he has nothing left to lose. Which raises the ultimate question, how far will they let him fall before they make a deal? 16 years is just a number until something cracks. And when a man like Combs cracks, it's not quiet. It's a landslide. Some say the only reason he's still alive is because of what he knows, that someone, maybe inside government, maybe another power player, is keeping him just safe enough to make sure he doesn't spill until they say so. What if this trial, this sentence, this denial of bail, it's not punishment, it's containment, controlled silence? If that's true, then every passing day brings us closer to a choice. Does Diddy take those secrets to the grave? Or does he light the match and watch it all burn? Because this isn't just about one man fall from grace. It's about a system terrified of what that fall might expose. So, what do you think? Is Sean Diddy Combs just a disgraced mogul finally facing consequences? Or the last man holding back a truth too explosive to handle? Drop your thoughts below. And buckle up. This story isn't over.